Happy Monday, folks, and happy December. And welcome back to hashtag AskGSM here today for December 5th, 2016. Or at least that's when I'm starting to record this. My roommate and his girlfriend left a lot later than I thought they would. So I don't have the time before I go to work to film all of it. I'm filming like the first 15, 20 minutes before I go. I don't know if they'll be able to film the rest before Raw, record the rest before Raw. I might have to do it Tuesday. So this might be up Tuesday for all you guys know. I have no idea. Who fucking knows? But anyway, though, I'm in a good mood. We're coming off TLC on Sunday night. Thanks to RJ for joining me. Great time. It was an awesome show. Probably one of my favorite pay-per-views all year. And I know I'm blue brand biased. I'm a big Smackdown guy. But I thought start to finish, not a bad match on the entire show. Just a really, really good pay-per-view. And I'll tell you what, very rarely, I think if ever, I don't know if I've ever done this, a lot of the times with the NXT TakeOver shows, I'll obviously watch it live. And then the show's so great, I'll watch it again like a week or so later. I'll watch the takeovers like multiple times after they happen. I have never done that with a WWE pay-per-view. Not just because they're longer, the WWE shows are longer. It's just that the takeover shows are so fucking good. TakeOver Toronto was awesome. I can tell you this much. I am not watching Survivor Series back in its entirety anytime soon. At least until we review it for WrestleRant a year from now. But until then, I'm not watching it again. But as for TLC, the reason I bring that up is because, honestly, I would watch back TLC. I got a lot of shit going on for school right now and beyond, an internship and whatever. But after that's all done, before the holidays, I'm hoping to sit down and watch TLC again. The show is just that good. So anyway, TLC, 2 thumbs up from yours truly. Couple cheap plugs here before we get started. On nextairwrestling.net, speaking of TLC, my full written review of the show is up right now on the website. Check it out. All 6 matches, including the kickoff match, my thoughts on the show, are all up on the website. Speaking of the website at nextairwrestling.net, you could vote in the 2016 WWE/NXT Year in Review Awards. They're back, baby, for the 4th year, for the 4th consecutive year. They're back. Vote for the Match of the Year, Wrestler of the Year, Live Special of the Year, Feud of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Women's Wrestler of the Year, all that other kind of great stuff. Vote right now on nextairwrestling.net. Go to Week in Review at the top of the page. There's also a big link right in the middle of the page, too, on the home page. But if you go to the home page, at the top of the page where it says Week in Review, there's going to be a drop-down menu. Go to Year in Review Awards. The polls close on December 30th. I think I set it up in a way where you can only vote once. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe it botched or something. Maybe there's a fucking glitch. I don't know. I haven't really checked myself, but I'm pretty sure you can only vote once, and be sure to do so before December 30th in a little under 4 weeks. We'll talk about the results of the polls on that episode of Wrestle Rant Radio. So before I take off, you won't even know that there's 2 different parts here, because I'm going to record part on Monday, the rest later, Tuesday, whatever. I'll just splice it together to kind of make one big full episode. So if this does go up on Tuesday, just know that a lot of the parts, most of this episode, we'll be talking about prior to Raw, SmackDown, whatever. So, anyway, we'll get started here with our first question from my brother Jason, Blue-Eyed Asorta, who I cannot wait to... here's the thing. So I watched Hell in a Cell with RJ. We went to Hell in a Cell a couple months back in Boston. Good show. Watched Survivor Series with Jason. Watched TLC with RJ again last night. He came by the dorm. And then I'll be watching Roadblock with Jason, hopefully as well, in a couple more weeks. And the cool part about that is that not next week, but in 2 weeks from now, if we do watch the show together, it's a lot shorter than Survivor Series. Thank fucking God. Only 2.5, 3 hours. Hopefully, anyway, fingers crossed. Then we can record hashtag AskGSM together. Me and Jason for the first time in many, many months. He'll be on the show if we do watch the show together. Of course, they won't be watching live, but it's a Raw show, so who gives a fuck? But anyway, his first question was, out of your top 3 favorite matches since 2008, would you rather referee, play manager at ringside, or do commentary, and which matches and why? That's an awesome question. That is an awesome question. So I have made no bones about it. My favorite top 2 matches, I'm still debating as to which is better than the other. Not better, but which is my favorite over the other. But as you guys know, one of my favorite matches of all time, if not my favorite match of all time, CM Punk, John Cena, Chicago, Money in the Bank 2011 for the WWE Championship. My other second favorite match in the last number of years, Sasha Banks and Bayley from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn from last August, because I was there. For a third match, I put down, I'm thinking, you know what other match comes to mind since '08 that I would have loved to have been there for to be a referee, play manager, or do commentary, as Jason said. AJ Styles and John Cena, another match I was in attendance for at SummerSlam this past year. I fucking love that match. So for those 3 matches, I would do commentary for all 3. Again, I've made no bones about it. I've said it right here in the show before. I think one of you guys asked me one of these weeks. I would love to do commentary. Not something I would make I'm not pursuing. I'm not a broadcast journalist, but I do podcasts. I do this fucking show for you guys. So I would love to do commentary. I do mock commentary with John whenever we play Smackdown and Raw 2007. Great game, by the way, as you guys know as well. But yeah, I'm not really. I mean, if I had the chance to play a manager in a wrestling match, that'd be pretty cool too. But I feel like I would be a lot better at commentary than it would be an actor or in any physical role. The referees take a hell of a lot of bumps. Not saying that I couldn't take a bump, but not something I'm really interested in. Which I also get a lot. Would you ever want to try wrestling itself? And would I want to try it? Maybe. Would I want to do it? Like, do I want to become a wrestler? Absolutely not. If I broke into WWE in an on-air role, which is very, 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 very unlikely, obviously, it would be as a commentator. I would love to do commentary for WWE or any wrestling promotion, whatever. But, yeah, for those 3 matches, like I said, Bayley and Banks, Punk and Cena, and Styles and Cena, it would have to be as a commentator. Calling that match would be amazing. Any one of those matches would be amazing. His second question, kicking a guy in the nuts is a disqualification, but a reverse atomic drop is illegal. I get it, it's meant to hit the tailbone, i.e. the spine, but you cannot convince me that the guy receiving it has no contact between his coin purse and the knee. So Jason and I have talked about this multiple times over the past number of months, and he's right. I can't really argue with that, that he is right. If you hit someone with a low blow, obviously it's a DQ as it should be, but a reverse atomic drop is very much similar to a low blow. And as Jason said, yes, the intent is to hit the spine, the tailbone, whatever, but it could very easily have another effect in hitting, your ball bag or whatever else, below the belt, essentially. So he's right. I mean, I never really thought too much about it before he brought it to my attention many months ago, but he makes a great point that that really should be a disqualification. I have no answer for you other than that's just wrestling, I guess. That's really all I can say, because to me also it makes no sense. Gary C., also from YouTube, do you think Naomi is hot? Not often we get these kind of questions on the show, but yes, I think Naomi is very attractive. I think she's one of the most underrated, one of the more underrated, attractive women on the roster. Alexa Bliss is gorgeous, as is Becky Lynch. Nikki Bella's hot too. A lot of the women on Raw too as well, obviously. But I think Naomi does not get the credit she deserves in being as attractive as she is. So yeah, I would classify Naomi as that to answer your question. Jonathan V, his first question, do you think that the Ellsworth angle will have a big payoff? And if so, for who? Well, we found out last night. Jonathan sent that in on Monday, or last week, obviously, before the pay-per-view, pretty much. And we found out last night, James Ellsworth went heel, it looks like. I know on Talking Smack, he justified it in saying that, he did it because I've beaten AJ 3 times, so I know I could beat him. So why wouldn't I want the person that I've beaten before to win the belt so I can beat him on Tuesday? But he acted like crazy, like he acted kind of out of his mind on the show. So it does kind of constitute it as a heel turn, in my opinion. But, yeah, that was the big payoff. Thank God, because this guy was all over TV. He's been way overexposed. You cannot expect me to cheer him when he came out for SmackDown every week. Him beating Styles for me in the main event of SmackDown in the ladder match many weeks ago was the final nail in the coffin. So I'm glad they turned him. I don't know whether he's going to be aligned with Styles as a lackey or what the fuck is going to happen. But, yeah, no, I'm glad it did have the big payoff that it did. I was very happy that match ended the way it did with AJ Styles still the world champion. His second question, do you think Brock Lesnar will enter the Royal Rumble and try to cost Goldberg his chance at the title? Do you think Brock will enter the Rumble and win, defeating a monstrous Goldberg? I know RJ said last night that the only 2 people who look likely right now to win it are Brock and Goldberg, and honestly, while I want neither guy to win, because the end game is Brock and Goldberg 3 at Mania, and if Brock won to set up another title match, that's fine. Like, I would have been fine with him winning this past year, but I don't need to see Brock Lesnar and Goldberg for the championship, because neither fucking guy is going to be there the next day, so what the fuck is the point? I said that before. So I don't want either guy, unless they get their title match at fucking Fastlane or something, which I think that's a waste. But I do think someone from Raw is winning it. SmackDown has the Chamber match where they can easily do a number one contenders match, which can be won by John Cena or somebody. Undertaker, who knows? AJ, if he loses the belt before then, who knows? But anyway, no, I don't want to see any guy win it. I don't want to see, I'm sorry, any guy. I meant Brock Lesnar or Goldberg win the Rumble match this year. I think it'd just be a colossal waste of an up-and-coming winner, which we have not gotten in many years, by the way. I know Roman Reigns won in 2015, but no one fucking cared about that, and it was one of the worst Rumbles in recent history. That was terrible. So other than those two guys, I've said it before, Finn Balor's still my dark horse pick, but he's not even back yet. I just read something this morning that said he's aiming for WrestleMania 33, so that might be 2 months after the fact. He might not be back. He may be swerving us, which he's done before on Twitter. Who knows? But as of right now, I don't know. So, besides Balor, I couldn't tell you who I think will win the Rumble. I guess we'll find out in January. And his third question here, finally, which belt is on the line in the WrestleMania for the winner of the Rumble? So they haven't outright said it yet, but I assume if your question is asking, like, who's the winner going to challenge, I assume what they're going to do, like in years past, that the winner gets to choose which belt they go for at WrestleMania. Not necessarily their own brand's belt. They could always switch sides, switch shows if they want to, which they've done in the past, and I'd be totally fine with that. Like if Balor won the Rumble and wanted to go after Styles, hey, take my fucking money. That'd be amazing. But, I assume it will be both belts on the line at WrestleMania, obviously, for the winner, for the Rumble winner to pick. It's of their choosing to determine which title they want to go for in the main event, hopefully, fingers crossed, at WrestleMania 33. Emmanuel A. from YouTube, have you heard of the July 8th, 2002 episode of Raw? So to give you the basic context, Kevin Nash, who had just recovered from a bicep injury at this time, got Shawn Michaels to join the NWO. They tried to get Triple H to join the stable too in order to reform the Clique. During the main event 10-man tag team match, however, Nash got tagged in for a total of 15 seconds before tearing his quad trying to run to the corner, spawning 1,000 memes and more or less placing the final nail in the coffin for WWE NWO. I do remember vaguely, because I watched one of the pay-per-views, I think from either June 2002 or July. I think the July show, I'm not exactly sure, Vengeance that year. I don't remember exactly. One of those pay-per-views where, or maybe Bad Blood, I don't know. But one of those shows where Triple H had been trying to, or the Raw and SmackDown GMs were fighting over Triple H, because Shawn Michaels wanted Triple H on Raw to reunite Clique on Raw. And I know they tried to do that. Obviously, I know they did the NWO in WWE. I don't remember that exact instance. I do remember hearing that Kevin Nash went into the ring for 15 seconds before tearing his quad, and he was out for like a year after that point. I do remember that. I don't think I've ever seen the incident itself. I mean, now it's on the network, because every episode of Raw is now on the network currently, which is amazing, and I'll get to that later. I did not hear of that exact moment from that episode of Raw. I will watch it at some point, hopefully, to see what you're talking about. But what I do remember is Vince coming out on Raw, I think a week or two later, where he said, "That's the last time you'll ever hear the NWO music." And then DX reunited, where Triple H turned on Shawn Michaels, leading to their SummerSlam epic match and Shawn Michaels' next 8-year run with the company. But yeah, I do remember them trying to reform the Clique. Triple H said no, and then it just kind of went in a completely different direction after Kevin Nash got hurt. And probably for the better. NWO at that point was dying a death. After Hulk Hogan went babyface, it was cool at first when they brought it over to WWE just to say they were in WWE as the original trio. But once Hulk Hogan went babyface, once Scott Hall got fucking fired, and he was already messed up before that point anyway, when they added Big Show and X-Pac, who were already original members, but still, how much did they mean at that point? When they added Booker T, it was ridiculous. So it probably worked out, for the better, considering that we ended up getting that amazing Triple H Shawn Michaels match at SummerSlam that year. Amanda 450 Splash has got a couple questions here. First one being, with Authors of Pain winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic a few weeks back, do you see them joining, or do you see them going after the tag titles? If so, when? I do. I mean, we have babyface champions. I assume that was one of the reasons why they put the belts on Gargano and Ciampa, in addition to the fact that they're awesome and they're great wrestlers. But I feel like one of the primary reasons that they put the belts on those guys was that they now have a plethora of opponents from Authors of Pain. They have Sanity waiting in the wings as well. Maybe another heel tag team I'm not thinking about right now. I mean, obviously they have a rematch with the Revival. If they want to go that route, I hope not. I hope they call up Revival pretty soon. But, yeah, no, I feel like they will go after the titles. I hope that's not the end game to get the belts on Authors of Pain. I mean, obviously they have to drop the belts at some point. But the Authors of Pain just are not that good. They're just not. They're not good yet, anyway. They're getting better. They're a better tag team. But they just should not be the end game for Ciampa and Gargano right now, anyway. Her second question: with Kenny Dykstra losing his job recently, do you see WWE hiring him? So I did hear about that. Apparently, Kenny Dykstra got fired from his everyday job because he was missing dates. He was missing way too many days of work to go work for WWE. So, I mean, you miss so many days of work, they're going to fire you. And I guess Kenny feels, he said to maybe Pro Wrestling Sheet or one of those websites, that he feels comfortable, that he feels confident that he's going to get a job with WWE. It's been 2 months. He hasn't been on TV since the pre-Survivor Series episode, along with Mikey, so I don't know how big of a, how smart of a decision that is. I know they hired Mickey. They didn't hire her yet, but they offered her a contract, which is great, after, just one performance just like that. Dykstra and Mikey, though, Kenny and Mikey, I like Dykstra a lot. I hope he does get signed, to be honest with you. I like the act. I think they're a cool little addition to the act of The Miz and Maurice. I feel like, though, it's also another one of those James Ellsworth things where it's going to get old, if it hasn't already gotten old, very, very quickly. And the only reason I would justify bringing Kenny Dykstra back was if he was on his own, not doing the whole Spirit Squad shit, because that's only going to go so far. He is a good athlete, and I think if they rebrand him on his own, I feel, not that he's going to become a world champion or anything, I feel like they missed that boat fucking 7, 8, 9 years ago. But they could still get a solid mid-carder out of Kenny Dykstra if they wanted to. I think he's pretty fucking young, too. He might be in his early 30s, if that. Her third question: favorite non-Rumble match at the Royal Rumble? Great question. There's been a lot. I really, really enjoyed Dolph Ziggler and Edge's match for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think 5 years back in 2011. That was a great fucking match. I'm trying to think of other... Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle probably had the best non-Rumble match at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view at the 03 installment. That was a fucking amazing match. Really, really, really good match. Not my favorite, but also just really, really good. It's got to be from recent years, like, no question. I mean, also Owens and Ambrose had a really good last man standing match this year for the Intercontinental Championship at the onset of January. That was a really good match, too. But this is a clown question. You got to go with Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Seth Rollins from the 2015 show. One of the best matches I've ever seen, and one of the best triple threat matches this company has ever done. That easily leads the list in my favorite non-Rumble matches at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Elena the Y, her question was, finally watched an episode of Lucha Underground, and despite being lost with these storylines, I really enjoyed that gauntlet match with Pentagon Dark and the Black Lotus Triad. Could the whole thing be counted as a match of the year candidate? At the very least, it's the best gauntlet I've ever seen. Pentagon looked like the ultimate anti-hero. No, I thought it was a really good match as well. I've not been too happy of late with the way they've been using Pentagon. In my opinion, he's the most popular by far guy they have in that promotion, on that show, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a promotion, so to speak. They don't really do many... They have done a recent live tour, but other than that, they're not really a promotion. But anyway, they don't do much live touring is what I'm trying to say. But with Pentagon, he's so fucking good. And they've really not been doing much with him for so long. So I wasn't really all that thrilled, to be honest with you, when I saw that he was being put in a program with the Black Lotus Triad and Angela Fong. I forgot what her Lucha Underground name is. Or Black Lotus, obviously. I'm such an idiot. But she's not that good. But the Triad really fucking is. And I thought the way that match was laid out, where it took up the entire show, which Lucha Underground does do from time to time. I mean, they just did it a couple weeks ago with the All Night Long, or what the fuck, the All Night Long match too. But what was it called? Fuck, I don't remember. Aztec Warfare, obviously. Aztec Warfare I thought was really, really good. I thought that was a great match and also takes up a majority of the show. But yeah, they do matches like that from time to time, and you would never really know. And you can't really do that kind of stuff with like SmackDown or obviously Raw. We had a 3-hour match with shoot myself. But with NXT, I know they've done it a couple times. They did it with Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe earlier this year in that 2 out of 3 falls match. That was incredible. But yeah, with this match, I thought it was really, really well laid out. Pentagon pretty much destroyed the first woman. The second woman got in more offense. The third one was great. That amazing dive off the top of Dario Cueto's office, I thought was fucking fantastic. The whole match was really, really well laid out. I thought it was great. So, match of the year, maybe for Lucha. About any promotion I've seen this year, probably not. But it was a really, really good match that capped off one of the best all-around weeks for women's wrestling. From Sasha Banks and Charlotte main eventing Raw for the women's title in a Falls Count Anywhere match, to Jade and Rosemary main eventing Impact in a steel cage match for the Knockouts Championship, to now this, to the women main eventing Lucha Underground, not for the first time ever, obviously, that's far from that, but a woman pinning a man in the main event of Lucha Underground. It was incredible. So, yeah, I thought it was a really, really good show. Great match. I'm not as salty, I guess would be the right word, with how Pentagon has been used in this feud. I think it's been great. As long as, the women get their comeuppance in the end, and they're great workers too. They're not like you're putting Pentagon in the ring with an Alicia Fox, you know what I mean? Or like a Liv Morgan, like people who are not that good. These women, I don't know, I forgot what their names were. I put them in my review of Lucha Underground from last week. But they're also really, really good. They're not from, not Shimmer, but some Japanese promotion. And I heard they were going to be involved in the WWE's women's tournament, but they turned it down to stay in Japan. Something like that. But they're really, really, really good. And I hope we see more of them in the future. So, you said you watched an episode of Lucha for the first time. I know you said you were lost in the storylines, but check it out. Go back and check out other episodes. I know I think the first 2 seasons are available online somewhere on some video on-demand platform. I know they're available on iTunes if you check them out. It's not a bad deal at all. And they're all great. I don't know if I would recommend watching from day one. I would. I don't know if you have the time. That's a lot of episodes. But at least from the start of season 3. And you haven't missed that much. We're only 3 months in. And the rest of the season ends, I think it goes until August or July or something like that. So you still have time to catch up if you want to. And I would strongly recommend that you do. Frankashir 15, in your opinion, do you think Dave Meltzer has any credibility? So, a couple years ago, whenever you would hear anything from the dirt sheets, and I got shit for that one time too from somebody on Twitter. Oh, they're not dirt sheets. They're wrestling news. It's all the same fucking thing, people. It's all the same shit. Doesn't really matter. It's wrestling news websites. I hardly classify myself as a wrestling reporter. I'm more of a columnist, but I don't get offended at that. I don't know who would, but anyway. At one point a couple years ago when the dirt sheets would report something, they were almost always wrong. It seemed like they were making up shit. And there are some websites, Ringside News, that still make up news. But Dave Meltzer, he's getting his sources from somewhere. I feel like he's a lot more credible. He's always been credible. But it seems like with him specifically, more often than not, as of late in recent years, he's been right. Or at least he has an idea of what he's talking about. He's not just making shit up for the sake of making shit up. He's not trashing TNA on purpose. He's not trashing WWE on purpose. He's getting his sources from somewhere. He's not the be-all, end-all. If Meltzer says it, it doesn't mean it's the gospel truth. But if he does report something, there is something to it more often than not. So I do think he does have credibility. I mean, he's been in the business for so fucking long, for how many decades? He knows exactly what he's talking about. And if I do hear anything from Meltzer, I do not take it with a grain of salt, but that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say. Wrong analogy there. Wrong idiom. But I would take it under consideration as being true, just because he does have his sources. He knows what he's talking about. And I do think he does have credibility. A lot more than some people think he does. Frankashir's second question: should Brock Lesnar and Goldberg enter at number 1 and number 2 in the Royal Rumble match? You know what? No, not really, just because that would be interesting, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you're putting Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at number 1 and 2, a la 2008. I mean, Brock Lesnar and especially Goldberg are two people that should not be in the Rumble for an extended period of time. They shouldn't be out in a minute. But I mean, they should not be in there for more than 10, 15 minutes, especially Goldberg. If they want to maintain his mystique, keep him special, they're only going to put him in there for a couple minutes. And one of the biggest draws for me, not only is the interaction between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in the Rumble match, but one of the biggest draws for me, one of the biggest interest points in this Rumble match this year, is seeing Goldberg mix it up with a current talent. And if you put him in there at number 1 with Brock Lesnar, you're getting a match you already saw a couple months ago. I mean, obviously they will interact at some point, but I need to see Goldberg mix it up with the talent of tomorrow and not just Brock Lesnar for 10, 15 minutes. So, interesting idea. I don't know if I would book it that exact same way because I don't really want Goldberg in there for a long period of time. And if he came in at number 1 and 2, that he would not last long. He would not be in there for 10, 20 minutes. So I don't know if I'd want that, but I think you're kind of blowing your load with all the star power right out of the gate. I think you should wait until later on in the match. I think someone said Goldberg should come in at number 30 or something. So I don't know about that either. I think it'd make it a lot more obvious that who's coming out of that last number. But yeah, no, I think if you put Goldberg a little bit later on, not number 1 and 2, I think it could work out a lot better. But who knows? That's just my opinion. The first KFC, also from YouTube. Should Ryback join the Bullet Club? No. I've seen some reports, some rumors, not reports, rumors, that Ryback would be joining the Bullet Club or would be joining the Bullet Club. I know Kenny Omega has been teasing who would be joining the group, and I won't say it here. I read it last night who it's likely to be based off what happened at Ring of Honor this past weekend of their TV tapings. And I'm actually really interested in that person joining the club. Not WWE's club, but the Bullet Club. I think he's a great addition. Not Ryback, but the guy that I read. If you go to PW Insider, I think they reported it a couple days ago. You can check it out there. And there's people all over Twitter talking about it. But Ryback, no. Ryback would not be a good fit. I mean, then again, if you told me Micah, if you told me Camacho from WWE would be joining the Bullet Club, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? That guy was awful. But I think his name is Tamatanga now or something like that. And he's not bad. He's in a tag team with some other guy. Bad Luck Yale? I don't know. Something like that. I don't know if that's the exact tag team. I know he's in the Bullet Club too. Fale, I think his name is. But no, Ryback is... No, I like Ryback a lot. And he might do well if he joins New Japan or does New Japan. I don't think it's a good fit for him, honestly. But especially not the Bullet Club. If you want to kill the Bullet Club's credibility, popularity, Ryback, I don't think would be a good fit for that group whatsoever, to be quite honest with you. Will Rhino and Heath Slater continue teaming? For right now, I'm sure they will. I don't know if they're going to stay together long term. They'll probably have Rhino turn on Slater at some point, do that whole feud. That's fine. I just don't really want to see them, fade off into obscurity. If they're not the tag team champions, that's fine. But Heath Slater was one of the most over guys, believe it or not, on the roster a few short months ago. And they really have not done much with either him or Rhino in the past month or two. So I would keep both guys around, keep them relevant. I think they're one of the best parts of Smackdown. Just to have them fade off into obscurity after dropping the tag team titles, in my opinion, would be a mistake. So I hope they continue teaming for now. They do have a lot more left in the tank in terms of their tandem days, in terms of their in terms of shelf life as a tag team. But long term, I do not see them sticking together a la like American Alpha or, the Usos and, the Vaudevillains and teams like that. I don't see them being a permanent fixture at all in SmackDown's tag team division. I give them another 3 months tops before they break up. Prince5835, his question was, why does it seem like wrestlers barely show any scars or black eyes, etc., after a brutal match? For example, after Hell in a Cell matches, they used to come out in bandages with scars and limp to the ring. I don't remember the scars parts. I don't remember people coming out with scars or black eyes. If people got black eyes, if you're saying that people got beat up, like Brock Lesnar after his war with Roman Reigns a few years ago at WrestleMania 31, he came out looking no worse for the wear. Those were legitimate scars, though. Those are real-ass scars. They're not fake. I don't remember at any point, maybe I'm wrong, I don't at any point in the last 10, 15 years, whatever, remember WWE putting on fake black eyes, at least on a regular basis, or a fake scar coming out of a Hell in a Cell match. I don't remember that. What I do remember are people coming out of those matches, as you said, wearing that wrist, or not wrist tape, but the ab tape, that tape around their stomach, that medical tape, the bandages, I guess, as you said. That's what I remember. I don't remember scars and black eyes. Carmella got a black eye on SmackDown last week, a legitimate black eye, and she looked badass when she walked into her street fight with Nikki Bella on Sunday's TLC pay-per-view. But I do wish they would do more of that. I do agree. I don't know about the black eyes and scars. I'm not saying that they should kill each other for real. But I'm talking about the bandages. Like, it really does sell the injuries. Like, Cesaro's been wearing that. I don't know if he still does it or not. I know he did it as of like a month or so ago. He's still wearing that fucking like shoulder tape. And he got injured a year ago and he's still wearing it. I don't know if I would go that far. But with the bandages, yeah, I mean, the smallest stuff makes a difference. Like, I think Daniel Bryan came out after WrestleMania 30 a few years ago wearing the bandages around his stomach after being pretty much brutalized by Batista and Randy Orton at WrestleMania 30. We need more of that, and to sell the injuries too. If you don't sell the injuries, what's the point? But that little stuff does put over the danger and the violence of Hell in a Cell and matches of that nature. His second question, last week I meant to say, when you started watching wrestling, did you go on the WWE.com website and check out the website? I guess, right after I started watching, and I've said this before, so when I first started watching, before the network, obviously, before I started watching the pay-per-views on a regular basis, and even before I discovered that Wikipedia updated their pay-per-view match results, which I would go under, before all of that, what I would do during a big pay-per-view, I would constantly check in to the WWE.com website or log in the next day after waking up for school and see who won the matches. That's what I would do. So yeah, I did go on WWE.com quite a bit when I first started watching. I still do today. It's my homepage for my website, for my fucking laptop, His third question, do you plan on watching old episodes of Raw and SmackDown on the network? So, yes, I do, and I have. I just added this cheap plug to the nextairwrestling.net website if you guys are interested. If you visit the homepage, nextairwrestling.net, go to the top of the page where it says Columnist Corner, and if you click on Columnist Corner, there's going to be a drop-down menu where it says WWE Reviews, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, and for WWE, I only have Cruiserweight Classic, Tribute to the Troops, and Raw so far. I'll add NXT, SmackDown, all those other shows at some point when I get more time. But Raw is up there. If you go to, again, Columnist Corner, go to WWE Reviews, don't go to the blog portion of Columnist Corner. Go to the drop-down menu for Columnist Corner. Go to WWE Reviews and click on Raw Reviews, and you will find every Raw review I have ever written, including the Raw retro reviews, like Raw episodes I watched on the network, watched back and reviewed them for the website, including episodes of Raw from the first ever episode of Raw from 1993, the Raw where WWE purchased WCW from 2001, the 2002 WWE Draft, the 2004 WWE Draft, the episode of Raw where John Cena debuted on Raw in 2005, a number of episodes of Raw from 2007, Tribute to the Troops, 2006, a lot of different episodes of Raw. Some episodes of Raw when I first started watching in 2008. Those are all up there, so check them out, including every other Raw review I've written in real time from 2011 to this point, including Monday night. So check it out. Check it out. If you like that kind of stuff, they're all up there. I've only gotten to a number of episodes of Raw from 2008. I'm going to be watching more. I want to watch every episode of Raw I've ever seen and review it from 2008 onwards, and I've got 3 years to cover because I started watching or reviewing Raw on the website in May of 2011. And there's also a few episodes of Raw I missed in like 2011 that I want to go back and watch. But as I've said before, 2011 is one of my favorite years in wrestling, and only this past weekend did they finish finally uploading every episode of Raw ever. I think there's a few outliers for copyright reasons they'll probably upload at some point. But for right now, every other episode of Raw, and like 99% of the library, is up currently on the WWE Network, which is incredible. So I will watch them back at some point. I'm a stickler for like watching them in order, so I probably won't watch any 2011 shows until I'm finished like with 2008. So it might be a while, guys. Hopefully when I have more time over January break, I will watch more episodes of Raw and review them for the website because I am anxious to kind of relive every episode of Raw from when I first started watching from '08 onward. For SmackDown, they have not quite gotten there yet. They have every episode of SmackDown, I believe, from 99 through 2005, so like the glory years. But the episodes of SmackDown that some of you I know when you guys first started watching from '06 onward, and for me '08 onward, are not up yet. There's a few outliers from like '07, '08, maybe one from '09, but other than that, it's largely gone. They're not there yet. So I hope now that they're done with Raw, they will start uploading every other episode of SmackDown from 2006 to 2011. And I will watch them all at some point because I'm just a freak like that. Captain Sunshine, how much better would TLC have been if there was a single person in the Dallas crowd that looked like they wanted to be there? That's so fucking true. That crowd was awful. I'm sorry. I don't know if Dallas is notoriously a bad crowd. I know WrestleMania weekend, that's a different beast, though, because people from all around the world are there for TakeOver and for Mania. That doesn't even really count. I mean, I've never really known Dallas to be a bad crowd, so I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if it's because it was a SmackDown show, which to me makes no sense, because SmackDown's the better show. They put on way better pay-per-views. That entire event was fucking great. In my opinion, one of the best shows WWE's done all year. Probably my favorite pay-per-view that this company has done all year. That's how good it was. But the crowd could not have cared less. I mean, there were points of the show where they came to life, like the heel turn from Ellsworth, the main event. That 450 splash was incredible. They came to life for that, thankfully. They weren't sitting on their hands for that. Miz and Ziggler, they were a bit lively for, and that was about it. Everything else they sat on their hands for. So I was disappointed in the Dallas crowd on Sunday. I wish, at Zach Donegan said this to me on Twitter yesterday, on Monday. He said, and if you couldn't already tell, I picked up reviewing this on Tuesday after I said I would try to do it on Monday. I couldn't, so this is now you're moving into the Tuesday portion. This is now going up on Tuesday. But anyway, at Zach Donegan tweeted me on Monday saying, am I the only one who wishes that Boston got TLC last year, or TLC this year as opposed to last year? And last year was fun when we went RJ and I and my roommate and his girlfriend, and Zach was there too. A lot of people were there. It was a fun show, but this year was a lot better in my opinion. I do wish I was there for that show and not the show that we got last year. Just personal opinion. But anyway, so yeah, that crowd sucked. Chris M from Facebook, are you doing the Royal Rumble game this year? If so, can I be in it? More details on that to come. Not going to say yes or no, but I think you guys know what the answer is. I've been doing it for January is going to be 5 years, I think. I think 2013 was the first year. We did it. We haven't missed a year yet. We did it 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I think next year will be 5 years. For once again, I talked about it here on the show before, but for those unfamiliar with the Royal Rumble game, you pick a number, 1 through 30. There's only one person, relegated, limited to one number. And man, I tell you, the last few years, when I open up the comment section on like the article for you to select your Royal Rumble number to get in the game, people comment immediately. Like, there were, like, maybe 20 comments, I'm not even joking, within the first 10, minute. When the first 10 seconds to a minute of when I opened the comment section, people flooded in. And 20 to 25 spots were taken off the bat. It was incredible. You guys are great. But, yeah, so we will probably be doing it, save for any... whatever. I highly doubt we won't be doing it, but yes, that's basically what it is. So you select the number, 1 through 30, one person per number, per entry, and whatever number you get, that is whoever comes in that number in the Royal Rumble match is your quote-unquote favorite, your new official favorite wrestler for the next 365 days. Last year I got Braun Strowman, and I've really kind of warmed up to Braun Strowman in the past number of months since he moved to Raw. He's been really well built and handled and shit like that. But, yeah, so more details on that to come in the next few weeks. I will be officially announcing it by the end of this month. And then for you guys to select your numbers and shit like that, it's probably going to be mid-January, earlier on in January, we will do the entry numbers, probably after an episode of NXT. I know I've done it after NXT in recent years, like on a Wednesday or something like that. So stay tuned for more info on that in the coming weeks and months, in the next month or so. And as for whether you can be in it, I do not reserve spots. I know even like RJ wanted in last year. I can't reserve spots. I'm sorry. I don't even do it for John. I can't do it for anybody just because that's being biased. Other than myself, obviously. I reserve spot for myself. Number 17 is always mine. But as for anyone else, I can't, just because I want to give everyone a fair shot. So if you win hashtag GSM Trivia, again, more on that to come, you do get a free spot in the game. And not only do you get a free spot in the Royal Rumble game before anyone else gets to select, you get to pick your own number for the Royal Rumble game as well. So, again, more details on that to come. Stay tuned. And if you also win the game, you get a free Wrestle Rant Radio t-shirt if you want it. Next question from at E138. Keep or erase Vengeance 01 or TLC 2013? So I know the reason why you did this was because both pay-per-views featured the debut or the unifying of two world titles, and 01 being the WWE and WCW World Heavyweight Championships, and then 2013 being the World Heavyweight and the WWE World titles. I think Vengeance 01, if I remember correctly, was the better overall show. And there was, some of those final tournament matches with Angle and Austin, I think it was, and then Rock and Jericho, and then Jericho and Austin in the finals, were all very good from what I remember. It was the big moment when Jericho won. In 2013, TLC 2013 was not really that good of a show. It was not awful, but I will say it was probably the worst TLC pay-per-view the company has ever done. Just because there's been a lot of great TLC shows, this year included, I think 2013 is near the bottom of the list. And John Cena and Randy Orton had a pretty good match for the new undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Championship, but it just wasn't exciting. It was fucking John Cena and Randy Orton. At least in 01, it was Jericho winning in a fresh face, even though he wasn't really that good of a champion. Cena and Orton, it was like, oh, you fucking kidding me again? And the match was good, but it wasn't great. And the whole show was really a dud. I did not really care about that show at all. 2013 was not one of my favorite years in wrestling. But, yeah, definitely keep Vengeance 01 and then erase TLC 2013. At Mr. Singleton 16, would you like to see another WWE-themed restaurant like WWF New York? I would. If it was in New York, then absolutely. I'm so sad I was not around for WWF New York, because I don't live in New York, but not that I'm there all the time, but if I went to SummerSlam and I got to go to WWF or WWE New York, rather, if it came back today, that'd be so sick. I've been to New York, how many times this year? 3 times. I was in New York for 3 straight days for SummerSlam weekend, for SummerSlam weekend from Saturday, Sunday to Monday. And then we were there. I was there late last year, and I feel like I was there another time too. Maybe not, but I don't know. So, yeah, no, I would definitely go to the restaurant if I was in the area in New York. I would totally go. I think now it's been since replaced by the Hard Rock Cafe. But anyway, I don't see them bringing it back, just because that lost so much money for the company. Not a lot, not as much as the XFL, but it was really just a case of no one was going, and it just really was not working out. And I mean, you have New York is New York. Your business is either going to fail or flourish, and that really kind of failed. That was not around for long at all, maybe a year or two. But I would love to see it be brought back. I just don't think it's realistic, especially now that wrestling is not even as hot as it once was in 2001, 2002 when they first did it. Wrestling is not even close to being as popular as it once was. And if they closed it back then, when wrestling was significantly more popular than it is now, it probably would not even do half the business it would have done 15 years ago. So I would love to see it, but I did not see that being a realistic possibility whatsoever. His second question, do you think WWE needs more tag teams formed like how Rated RKO was? Yeah. I mean, I think Orton and Edge were a special exception. I don't like how some tag teams are like 2 singles guys, or let's just pair them together because there's nothing else for them to do. And then, on occasion, they will strike gold. And sometimes literally strike gold. Like with Randy Orton and Edge. And I mean, I wrote a whole article about a month or 2 ago, talking about 10 makeshift awesome tag teams in WWE. Rated RKO was up there. They did not last long. They did not last nearly as long as they should have. They were just that fucking good that they should not have split up when they did. But I understand WWE wanting more heels for their top heels for their SmackDown and Raw rosters. But, yeah, no, I think if we get more makeshift tag teams like that makes sense. And you're not just putting 2 guys together for the sake of putting 2 guys together. Like, Ryback and Curtis Axel, in my opinion, was one of the most lifeless tag teams, at least early on, that WWE has done in quite some time. I could not have cared less about Ryback Axel. The name sucked. As a tag team, they sucked. I could not have cared less. So, yeah, like R-Truth and Goldust, I just don't see the chemistry there at all. Not nearly as good as, Booker T and Book Dust was, as Booker T and Goldust were many years ago. But, yeah, if you have two singles guys that look like they could make a good tag team, like Jericho is a makeshift tag team, but they're a great fucking tag team. So, I think even RJ wrote an article a couple months back saying why Jericho could be the best tag team since Rated RKO, and I can't argue with him. Best makeshift tag team since Rated RKO. They're that good. So if you say that WWE needs more tag teams like that, we have one in Jericho. At least for right now before they split up, and that sad day will inevitably come. Next question. With it being 7 years since Umaga passed, what do you think his and Benoit and Eddie's career would have played out in the WWE? Wow, you make a great point. I did not know that. I completely forgot. Yes, today marks 7 years since Umaga passed away. I remember exactly where I was, too. I was home, and I think, what's so sad, too? I think my great-grandmother also passed away that day, so that was not a fun day, to say the least. But she was like 90-something. Umaga was like fucking 30. He was in his 30s. He was very, very young, so that was really sad when I heard about that. I put up a whole video blog a couple years back on the anniversary itself here on the channel. If you go back far enough, remembering Umaga, if you go back 2 years in the random video blog playlist, you will find it. But anyway, so your question was like, what would be what would his career have been like had he been still alive? I feel like Umaga would have been back at some point. He got fired because he didn't want to go to rehab or something, a lot like Carlito. I think that's what the story was, because he got suspended and then later fired because he didn't want to go to rehab. And then he passed away like months later, so it was really sad. I feel like for a one-off return anyway, he probably would have been back. I would have seen him going to to TNA, maybe to do something with Samoa Joe, because a lot of the guys that were on that Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair Australian tour that year, including Umaga, ended up going to TNA with Hulk Hogan later that year, and Ric Flair. So, yeah, I think Umaga probably would have ended up in TNA at some point to do the whole Samoa Joe Umaga feud, which could have been really, really good now that I think about it. I mean, I think people always knew that feud would have been amazing had they done it in TNA or wherever. But yeah, he probably would have gone to TNA, maybe if he was still alive, maybe come back for a one-off return and like a Royal Rumble or something. But you got to remember, unlike Eddie and Chris, he wasn't in WWE at the time that he passed. He was already fired. So it's not like, he was scheduled to win the world title like Eddie Guerrero, or he was scheduled to win the ECW title like Chris Benoit. He was already gone. As for Eddie and Benoit right now, I imagine they would be trainers or doing something at the Performance Center, had they not passed away and had they not, in Chris's case, not done what they did, not done what he did anyway. So yeah, no, I feel like they would have ended up at the Performance Center as coaches or as trainers or as agents, because they have had such great minds for the business and for wrestling that it would have been a waste to not have them involved in the company in some form or fashion. Next question from @Swagzio. What's next for Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles? I mean, I think Dean Ambrose will probably do something with Ellsworth for the foreseeable future, going into the Rumble anyway. They're not going to blow it off in a Rumble match. Who fucking cares? Ellsworth would get destroyed in a minute. They'll probably blow it off on Smackdown at some point in the next few weeks. And then with Styles, and then Ambrose will enter the Royal Rumble match, I imagine. With Styles, we'll find out more tonight, and I imagine this is the direction they're going in. But with I think they're in Houston tonight. Or maybe, I don't remember. But they're still in Texas for Smackdown tonight. After Raw and TLC were also in Texas for the past 2 days. And Taker was backstage at Raw last night, so I imagine he will show up tonight to build to something with Styles at the Royal Rumble. And why not? That match would be great. That whole feud would be amazing. So I would love to see that direction. That would be the direction they would take with Ambrose with Styles and Undertaker going into the Royal Rumble to do a WWE World Title match between the two at the event. So Styles and Taker, I assume, is the next step. If it's not Taker, then who? Really? I mean, Orton and Wyatt are busy with the tag titles right now. Ziggler, but the guy's a fucking loser. So I don't think it's going to be Ziggler, but we'll see. I think it's going to be Styles and Taker, though, and then Ambrose and Ellsworth as a temporary thing before Ambrose sets his sights on winning the Royal Rumble. His second question, should 205 Live air at 7 before SmackDown so the crowd won't be tired/leave? Yes. Yes. If they're hell-bent on making it 205 Live, so you can get that 5 Live rhyme, who cares? Just air it before SmackDown. They did that with Main Event a couple years ago. They used to air it at 7. Not SmackDown Live, but they would air Main Event Live. I don't see why you just can't do that. I mean, I feel like you're still getting 3 hours of wrestling. It's just saving us that seeing a wrestling show at 10 o'clock is just not appealing at all for me. So seeing it at 7 o'clock would be a lot more lively. Like you said, the crowd would be into it. I mean, I know they might run into the issue of the crowd not being there yet, but it's a lot better that the crowd is not there yet than the crowd leaving during your fucking show. That's bad. So, yeah. No, I think it should air before SmackDown, but I would just go one step further and say tape it at a Full Sail. I think taping in front of these live crowds it's going to die a death. The show is going to die a death if they keep on going in this direction and taping the shows in front of these live crowds. Just because a lot of these people don't know who the Cruiserweights are. They don't care. They're going to leave. They're going to want to go home. Just tape it at a Full Sail. That crowd's a lot more lively. For all the knacks and all the things that we have against Full Sail, for as annoying as they can be, at least they're lively more often than not anyway. So I would just film it out of there and then air it on Wednesdays after or before NXT or whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter. Just air it on Wednesday. So we have 2 hours of wrestling on Wednesday and 2 hours on Tuesdays, excuse me. And as opposed to a 3-hour block, which is just overkill. And that's not even including Talking Smack. Next question from @ShawMarcus. Thoughts on James Ellsworth heel turn? It was predictable, but it was what needed to happen. The whole Ellsworth thing, I've talked about it here on the show before, was he's gotten way too overexposed. Way too overexposed. I don't care about him. I don't really see what long-term value he has to the company. But keeping him around as a lackey, at least for now, I think could work. For Styles or for somebody else, as kind of like a Rufus type thing with Jericho. I think that'd be a perfect role for James Ellsworth, as opposed to the whole underdog thing, which has already run its course. So, yeah, I feel like that's the role that he should have in the years to come, or at least for right now. I don't know about years, but I heard he did sign a 2-year deal. Why, I have no idea. I don't know what WWE sees in him that I don't, in terms of, I know he was popular for a hot minute, but that's it. So anyway, yeah, I thought the heel turn was predictable, but it was what needed to happen. I was happy with it. And above all else, AJ Styles is still the WWE World Champion. That's all that matters. Second question, does it bother you that during contract signings, the contract sometimes does not get signed? It doesn't bother me, but it does beg the question, okay, so if they didn't sign the contract, is the match still happening? And then the best part is that they announced the match so far in advance, and then they save the contract signing for a week before the show, and again, it begs the question in storyline, was the match not official up until this point? Like, why were you advertising something that in storyline was not yet official until they signed the contract? You know what I mean? So it's silly. Contract signings on the main roster anyway are just a tired trope. I'm not a fan of them. They're really well done in NXT, it seems like. But on the main roster, more often than not, they're just not exciting. At RJ_Marceau. My brother RJ, once again, big shout out to him for coming over for TLC on Sunday. Had a great time. Hope to catch his ass down the road. But his question was, now that Alexa is champion, who should she feud with? And since she never won a title in WWE/NXT, is the payoff better? So for the first question, who should she feud with? I assume her and Becky will continue to feud for the foreseeable future. I don't know if you blow it off in another match of the Rumble. I don't know if they'll wait that long. That's another 6, 7, 8 weeks away. But, for right now, if they want to continue the feud on SmackDown, give the women something to do before the Rumble show, I'm all for that. I feel like that will be the direction they go in. Beyond Becky, I could see them putting her in a program with Nikki Bella, if she's already done with Natalya at that point. If that is the direction they're going with Nikki, doing Nikki and Natalya, which, whatever, I don't really care about Natalya, but if they want to do that feud, whatever, then I could see them doing Alexa and Nikki at some point after that, probably in time for the Chamber pay-per-view. Naomi would be good. They've had some good matches, Alexa and Naomi, so I'd be fine with that if they want to go in that direction too, if they want to do that title feud next. But I do feel like Nikki, after she beat Carmella twice, is the next logical challenger for the SmackDown Women's title after Becky's done with Alexa as well. The second part of his question, since she never won a title on WWE NXT, is the payoff better? Yes, I think it is. I really do think it is. just because she never held a belt in NXT. And not to say that she needed to. I think she would have made a great women's champ. There's not one point, unlike Emma. Like with Emma, it's like, wow, they really should have put the belt on her there. Like, remember Paige was champion for so fucking long. She was champion for so long. They took the title off of her. They had her vacated. She didn't even lose it. And that's how the whole Natalya-Charlotte match that was really, really good happened at the TakeOver show that year. That's how that came to fruition, because Paige vacated the belt, causing a tournament to be held to crown a new women's champion. But no one even beat her for the belt. And if anyone should have beat her for the belt, it should have been Emma. Emma deserved to run with that women's championship. And they didn't have her win it at Arrival, even though I know she was on the main roster at that point, but Paige was main roster bound too, like a month later. So I don't see what the point, it really would not have mattered. Even if it was a short reign, it would have been cool to see Emma as women's champion, if only for a few short months, because she deserved it on several different occasions. But I do think that Emma, or what are we talking about here? With Alexa's, the point I'm trying to make is that there was not one point during her NXT career like, wow, that should have been the point they should have put the belt on her. Because she really didn't start to get good until she came to the main roster. She's always been good, like a great heel, for the better part of the past year. But she should not have beaten Bayley for the belt. If she stayed in NXT, her and Asuka would have been cool. But she got called up, so that didn't happen, obviously. We got to see Asuka, RJ, and we got to see Asuka and Alexa Bliss for the title at a house show the same night Samoa Joe won the NXT Championship. We saw that match on that same show at NXT Lowell. You'll see it in like highlight video packages and shit for Asuka. They took video of the match, so it does exist somewhere. Someone did videotape it at that show. But anyway, yeah, so I think Alexa Bliss, it's cool. I'm really, really happy for her that she is now champion. She deserved it. She's the best heel, one of the best heels in the division right now on any show. So I'm really happy she's champion. I do think the payoff was better because she had yet to hold a championship in WWE. And Alexa is someone I've been a fan of for the better part of like 3 years. I know she debuted in like early 2014, but I just remember seeing a picture of her like on like one of the dirt sheets or something, and that, I don't know, Alexa Bliss, blah, blah, blah. But I just saw her picture, and I'm like, wow, she's fucking gorgeous. She's officially one of my favorites. And that was like over 3 years ago. So to see where she's come from that point to where she is now is amazing. She deserved it, and she's a great fit right now for the SmackDown Women's Champion. Next question from @BradBerdar. Was it a mistake to make the Cruiserweights title, to take the Cruiserweight title away from Brian Kendrick? I feel like they did need to make the title change happen on the debut show, just because they needed a pop. They needed something to say like, oh, the show is must-see. Anything can happen. They needed to establish that feel that anything can happen on these shows. So no, I don't think it was a mistake. I think they made the right call, and putting the belt on Rich Swann. He's popular, and people like him, so he was the right choice for the one to beat Brian Kendrick. Would he have benefited from a longer chase for the championship? Absolutely. But the timing was right. The crowd was into the match. Rich Swann's over. At least one of the most over cruiserweights they have, other than Cedric Alexander. So he was the right guy to take the title from Brian Kendrick. And I thought it was a good match, and Rich Swann is a good fit as champion for right now. His next question, will fans begin to lose interest in Tye Dillinger if he can't start winning big matches, much like many did with Dolph Ziggler? Maybe, but I do think that Dolph, I think, is a different story because he's had so many start and stop pushes. Tye Dillinger has never been pushed. Up until recently, he has never, ever, ever been pushed. So that's why people like him, because he has not been shoved down our fucking throats like Dolph Ziggler has been for years. And Dolph Ziggler is really, really good. I'm not knocking the guy. And it's not his fault. It's just that he doesn't really evolve. He's been the same character for the past 3.5 years. And I just don't care anymore. I really don't care what's next for Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown. You know how we used to say, when you guys used to write in what's next for the Wyatt family, and I don't care? For right now, anyway, with this Orton and Bray Wyatt stuff, I do care. I do care what's next for the Wyatt family. That new type of question, though, where I don't care, is what's next for Dolph Ziggler, I think is the new what's next for the Wyatt family, because I don't give a shit about Dolph Ziggler in late 2016. But yeah, with him, he had so many start and stop pushes that people were like, okay, they're never going to push him. I'm just going to give up. I don't fucking care anymore. With Ty, I do think there's still a chance could push him at some point. He is popular. He's a really, really good wrestler. Very underrated in my opinion. I don't know if he gets called up to the main roster because he did lose to Samoa Joe and he said, I don't know what's next for me, so I don't know what's next for him at all. Maybe they forgot about that. Maybe he was at the NXT tapings. I don't really want to know. I'd rather find out on the episodes of NXT in the weeks to come. So I guess we'll find out pretty soon. But yeah, I think with Ty Dillinger, I think there is still hope for him, whereas with Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, he's damaged goods. His next question, most underrated WWE match all year. Personally, I think it's Aries versus Nakamura from TakeOver the End, as I'd put that in my top 10 matches of the year. That's another great question. I would put Aries and Nakamura as one of the more underrated matches all year. I think it kind of gets forgotten in between Nakamura's great matches with Finn Balor and Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe. So it kind of gets forgotten about, but it was a really good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And top 10 matches of the year, in my opinion, not even close. It was a really good match, but here's the difference. You know what? It would have been one of the top 10 matches of the year 5 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe even last year. But it's funny you say that because I was making my list of, you just made the list. No, but I was making my list of top 25 best matches of WWE in 2016 from the start of the year up until where we are now. And Roadblock isn't even here yet, so maybe we get another match of the year candidate at Roadblock in a few weeks. And it included the TLC matches that we saw on Sunday. But anyway, I made the list of top 25 best bouts of 2016. That match, not even on there. And I know that's kind of surprising, but we've had so many not very good matches, but great matches. Every match I put in that top 25 was great. Nakamura and Aries was really, really good. Amazing? No. I don't think it was amazing. It was an excellent match, but I don't think it was on the same level as some of the matches I put in my list. So it doesn't even make my top 25, which I know is going to surprise a lot of people, but that really goes to show how many great matches that we've had. Like matches that would make the top 10 of any other year in 2016. So I don't know if it's the most underrated all year, but it is definitely one of the more underrated matches of the year. Best matches? No. Underrated, I would say so, yes. Other matches that I would call underrated? Ambrose and Owens had a really good last man standing match at the Rumble earlier this year. That was a really, really good match. Jericho and Styles, I would say, had a lot of underrated matches, especially that Smackdown match back in February. I think it was February 11th. Excuse me, my voice cracked there for a second. I just woke up like an hour ago. I apologize. Jericho and Styles had a very underrated match, in my opinion, on an episode of Smackdown in February. So, yeah, I'd rank those matches up there as some of the more underrated of the year. His next question, best WWE Christmas-related segment / moment. Also, do you have any Christmas traditions? I don't have one specific favorite moment / segment that's Christmas themed. I enjoy the Christmas shows because I'm a fucking mark like that. I'm trying to think, like, the whole Del Rio Cena thing was so stupid, but at the same time, I loved it. When Santa was hit by Del Rio's car on the Christmas Eve episode in 2012 of Monday Night Raw. I love that. As dumb as that was, I thought that was great. So yeah, no, I would go for that. I would go with that as one of my favorite Christmas themed matches, moments, segments, whatever. In addition to, and this is not one of my favorite, this is just one of the worst segments, but I just laugh at it every time. I was watching TLC 2011 a couple days ago, and they had a segment at that TLC show where Teddy Long was dressed as Santa, and Teddy goes to Hornswoggle, who is dressed up as an elf, who had just started talking at that point. Hornswoggle was finally allowed to speak actual words, like a few weeks prior to that point. But anyway, so they had that, and Teddy was dressed up as Santa, and he said, "Oh, you want to come sit on my lap, you little elf?" And Hornswoggle said, "I'm a man. I have a grown beard. I have mature testes." And I was like, "Oh, you fucking kidding me?" That's such a Vince line. And then Hornswoggle goes, "Since when was Santa black anyway?" And I'm like, okay, moving on. Definitely a Vince written line. Definitely a Vince scripted line. But that was just so stupid. I laugh at it every time. But favorite, I would probably go Cena Del Rio from that Christmas Eve episode of Raw from 2012. Christmas traditions? First of all, thanks to RJ for the Christmas gifts. You got me a Goldberg shirt and an AJ Styles ornament, a gingerbread AJ Styles ornament, which is pretty fucking cool, by the way. I like it a lot. So thanks to him for that. Best friend in the world is Mr. Marceau. But anyway, Christmas traditions. I gotta go with, I had the chocolate advent calendars. RJ can vouch for me. He saw it when he was here. Love those. Love eating the chocolate every day up until Christmas. And there's also, we have this thing in my family. They're called poppers. It's an English thing because I am of English descent on my mother's side. And it's an English tradition every Christmas and maybe every holiday, but I know we do it at Christmas, where there's little poppers where you hold one on one each. You hold you hold them on each side, and one person grabs one end, you grab the other, and they pop open, and inside is like a little paper, a little paper crown and a joke packet and a little toy, and they're cute. So we do that every year at Christmas too. But yeah, that's probably some of my, more Christmas traditions. I mean, I'm a huge Christmas mark. I don't know if you guys know that, but I'm looking forward to the post-Christmas episode of this show on the 26th. So that should be fun. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, that is some of my favorite Christmas traditions in addition to getting a tree and the ornaments and the decorations and all that other shit that I love. All that other sappy shit. See what I did there? See that pun? Anyway. His next question, would you place Cesaro and Tyson Kidd in the top 10 WWE tag teams of the past decade? Success-wise, no. They were champions for like 2 months, so I don't know about that. But there really, when you think about it, have not been a lot of amazing tag teams in the past 10 years. So maybe they were, like, from an ability standpoint, in terms of what they were capable of in the ring, in the matches they had, then yeah, they were really, really fucking good. And they had some great matches with New Day over the tag team titles in that spring. So I don't know, top 10 best tag teams wrestling-wise, then yeah. In terms of success achieved, no. But in terms of ability-wise, wrestling-wise, great matches, they might be number 10 or 9. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to make the list. I don't know. I'd have to make the list. Next question. What did you make of Ric Flair's comments about the Cruiserweights when he basically said that they're athletic, but they can't have good matches? So I was curious as to what you were talking about, so I looked it up. He not only said they can't have good matches, he said Charlotte is a better athlete than any other Cruiserweight on the roster. And I needed to laugh that day. That got a good chuckle out of me. Almost as dumb as when he said that the women had the best match at Survivor Series. Which was pretty laughable. It was not a good match. It was decent, like I've said before. It was not awful. It was decent. But by far was it not even close to being the match of the night at Survivor Series. I don't know what the fuck he was drinking that day. Not even close. And almost as funny, that's not even half as funny, as when he said that the brawl, if you even remember this, between Paige and his daughter Charlotte, on the Go Home episode of Raw before Survivor Series last year, the same contract segment where Paige said, something about your dead baby brother, something. Remember that awful scripted line? Terrible. But after that, they brawled, going into the pay-per-view. Like, the final thing we saw on that show was Paige and Charlotte brawling. But he said that was a better brawl than Undertaker and Undertaker and Brock Lesnar earlier this year. And I'm like, you know what? That's it. Ric Flair has officially lost his marbles. The guy's just... No, I commend him. He's a great father. I really do. My hat's off to him. But in terms of making, sense, making any, sense whatsoever in what he says, then no. He's definitely wasted off his ass when he makes comments and statements like that. Next question. In terms of the whole athlete thing, yes, Charlotte, I forgot to mention this. Charlotte is a great athlete. A better athlete than the males of the Cruiserweights. Definitely more so than some. I'm sure she's more athletic than Arya Daivari. But like Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, I don't know about that. She's probably on the same level. I don't know if she's better. I don't know about that, but guys, she's not as good of a wrestler, I'll say that much, but Better athlete, I could see what he's saying, but to bury the entire Cruiserweight division at the expense of your fucking, just to put over your own daughter, that to me is something really stupid to say. One of the more dumb things I've heard in a while. One of the dumber things I've heard in a recent memory from Ric Flair. And that's saying a lot. At Scarlet 1, his question was, or their question was, are tag team table matches better than one-on-one table matches? You know what? I have found that as well. I mean, I know the Dudley Boys have had a lot of great tag team table matches, but not just them. I thought the women at TLC a couple of years ago had a better match than Alexa and Becky did. They had a good match, but not great. I thought even Cool, Beth Phoenix, and Natalya had a better tables match at TLC 6 years ago than Bless and Becky did on Sunday. Just because maybe you have more people to work with, there's more factors, more potential, moves that you could do and shit like that. I don't know, but that was a really good match. On Sunday, it was a good match, not great, but good, and the right outcome, obviously, like I said before. But yeah, I do tend to see that tag team table matches are a lot more exciting than just regular old, one-on-one tables matches, which aren't really all that exciting more often than not. Their next question: did you hear about the ratings for Raw for last week, pulling the best number since Goldberg's return? I did hear about that, and I heard that the main event segment between Charlotte and Sasha in the Falls Count Anywhere match popped the rating. So now you can't say the women aren't a draw because they officially are a draw. That doesn't make me any less tired of the Sasha-Charlotte feud. We found that on Raw last night they're facing off in an Iron Man match at Roadblock in a few weeks, which is cool, but if it finishes the feud, thank fucking God. Thank you, Lord. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm really, really excited for that match. But yeah, good for them for pulling out a good rating, a great rating, the best rating since Goldberg's return, one of the best ratings of the fall. And yeah, no, I think it's a good thing for them. Really, like I said, a banner year for women's wrestling, not only in WWE but across the entire wrestling world. In my opinion, I think it's been a real breakout year for the women in terms of finally being taken seriously, getting main event segments. Especially in WWE anyway. And their third question, MVP of TLC. I know his pants ripped, which I didn't even notice until like the final 2 minutes of the match. Everyone else pointed it out. Maybe I wasn't paying attention close enough. I don't fucking care. His pants ripped. Who gives a shit, people? Who fucking cares? It was on his ass cheek. You couldn't even see his butt crack. Who fucking cares? If his pants got pulled down a la Shawn Michaels and his pants always fell down, then maybe we'd be talking like, oh man, that sucks for him to be embarrassed like that. But he was on his ass cheek. Who fucking cares? I couldn't see shit, thank God. I didn't even notice it until the final few minutes of the match because it was something I barely even recognized until my girlfriend pointed it out when we were watching it together on Sunday. But anyway, I got to go with AJ. The point I'm trying to make is that AJ, I thought, was the MVP of the entire pay-per-view. Everyone really put forth an amazing effort, but I thought AJ, with what he pulled off in that match, along with Ambrose, was just, for lack of a better term, phenomenal. Pun intended. Just really, really, really good stuff. That 450 through the table is one of the greatest spots I've seen all fucking year. At the Wrestle Guy, will finish off with Sal's questions here. His first one: if the rumors of the match are true, do you think Undertaker will show up to confront Styles? He sent that in early Monday morning. He did not show up on Raw, obviously. Tonight, I think he will. We're in Texas. He was backstage at Raw last night. I heard he was limping, but we always hear reports of Undertaker being hurt, and he shows up looking great. So really, let's shut the fuck up about it already. I think he will show up tonight. If he doesn't show up tonight, there's still time. I mean, we have a fucking 6-week build until the Rumble, so we got plenty of time to build towards the pay-per-view. But I think he will. I don't know about tonight. I think he should show up tonight. They're in Texas. They're kind of wasting a perfect opportunity to do it if he doesn't show up tonight. But yeah, I think he will. I think that is the next feud. If it's not him, then who? I mean, Cena could be back, and I don't really want to see Cena. I could see Cena and AJ at Mania. I don't really want to see it at Rumble again. So I think it will be Taker Styles at the Rumble, and I think they will kick off the build tonight. We'll see. And his final question: assuming Owens is still champ going into WrestleMania, would you rather see him face Balor, Jericho, or Zayn? Oh, that's a great question. Zayn, at this point, has not been built up enough. They just had a match last night on Raw, and it was really good, but Zayn has been doing nothing. I mean, I guess they could build him up in the next 2 to 3 months, but that's a match we could see at WrestleMania years down the line. They're going to be in the company for a while, so you don't have to rush into it. I'm fine with them not doing that match this year, and they shouldn't. Zayn really does not mean much right now. Jericho or Balor? I'd say Jericho just because they have more history. It's a fresher match. We saw Owens and Balor a few times last year in NXT. They'd still have a great match. And if Balor's back in time to win the Rumble, I'd have him win the Rumble and then face Owens at WrestleMania for the belt. But Jericho and Owens, I think they probably will do it at the Rumble, just if the past couple weeks have been any indication, which is a shame because I'm glad the match is happening at all. And they're not just having Owens turn on Jericho and then Jericho leaves. That'd be awful. But I do think the match with Jericho and Owens at WrestleMania has more potential to be better just because you have more storyline significance there. I know Balor and Owens have their history, obviously, but Owens and Jericho in the time that Balor's been out have been a great cohesive unit, more often than not in the past 4 to 5 months. So why wouldn't you put them in a match against each other at WrestleMania? I don't know if Jericho's sticking around that long, but I hope he does because he's been one of the best parts of 2016 for this company. And you put him in the ring at WrestleMania against Owens, it's going to be a big match. If Jericho's the babyface or whoever's the babyface, it's going to be a big match. So I would rather see Jericho Owens over Owens Zayn and Owens Balor, but you can't go wrong with any one of those 3 matches, in my opinion. And that does it, guys, for hashtag AskGSM. I know I said at the start of the video for December 5th. It is now December 6th, but for this week anyway, for episode 157, 150, I think it's 158. But anyway, guys, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support is amazingly appreciated. And once again, for those cheap-ass plugs, check out my Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, TNA Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, NXT, Lucha Underground, and everything else in between 205 Live on nextairawrestling.net. You can check me out on the Twitter machine. Be sure to tweet me any questions you have at WrestleRant with hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Sunday nights or on the wall itself, or you can leave a comment on this very video by dropping a comment down below. I'll be sure to include it in next week's edition. So that does it, guys. We got one more episode to go while I'm here on campus. Doesn't really matter anyway, just because I don't use the camera for these videos anymore, but we got today, we got next week, we got the Monday after that, I think I'll be home. The 19th, I said at the start of the video, I'm hoping to get Jason on that show. If we can watch Roadblock together on that Monday, together and then film hashtag afterwards, we can have a hashtag Ask Jason again for the first time in many months, that'd be great. And then the 26th will be the final episode of hashtag in 2016, and we'll finish it off with that Christmas week episode. So that does it, guys. Be well, stay safe, have an amazing week, enjoy SmackDown tonight, I guess, and I'll catch you guys down the road.